Have you ever wondered whether Nvidia Xtreme G modified driver performs better than a regular driver? If so, this video is for you, because in today's video, that's exactly what I'll be testing. So sit down, strap in, let's go. Right guys, in today's video, I'll be comparing Xtreme G modded drivers versus regular Nvidia drivers, and in particular I'll be comparing the version 536.40 of the Xtreme G driver modified versus 536.40. So I actually did release this video about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but I actually found that I made a little error in my results, so I just pulled that off and I'm just redoing this video quickly because it does reflect a little bit differently. So guys, how do you go about downloading these Xtreme G drivers? First, you go to my YouTube page, my home page, and if you subscribe to the channel, just make sure that the little notification bell is ticked, so whenever I do release a new video or a new comparison, you will be notified. It really will help me with the algorithm. I am a new channel, so I really do need your help to grow. Other than that, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you find this video helpful, at the end of the video, please consider subscribing, and as always, hit that notification bell. So guys, what you're going to do is, if you do want to download these Xtreme G Nvidia drivers, on Reddit there's a page called Tweak Force, and whenever a new driver comes out, like this is the latest Nvidia driver over here, 536.67, he will upload, or he or she will upload a modified version of that driver, so you can download the driver. But to get the driver to run, you're going to have to disable driver signature enforcement, and then you can also download Nvidia physics separately. But I'll put this in the description of the video, or put a link to this in the description of the video, so if you do want to download it, you do have that option. But would you want to download it? Well, let's find out. Let's get to those results. So guys, all my games are tested at medium settings, except for the newer titles. I do test on a GTX 1650 laptop, so the newer titles are quite heavy on a GTX 1650. In fact, I think 2023 is probably going to be the last year that we're going to be able to successfully run newer titles. So Dead Island is on medium settings, Dead Space Remake is on low settings preset, Ratchet & Clank is on low settings preset, Remnant 2 on low settings preset, Returnal's on low settings preset, but I also use FSR balance, not quality. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake, it's not such a heavy game, so I play on a mixture of medium, high and low. And because I play the game quite a lot, I just leave the settings as I use in-game, which is a mixture of medium, high and low. Everything else is on medium settings, with the FSR set to 2.0 or 2.1 on quality slider. Guys, if you'll notice, in these games, these are all single player games. I did get a new terabyte NVMe, 2 terabyte NVMe, so I am busy downloading games so I can increase the size of my benchmarks so my results can be even more accurate. I will be including Warzone 2.0. I'm going to be downloading that a little bit later, Valorant, as well as PUBG, just so I can have an online component to my benchmarks, just to make it a little bit more reflective, because unlike myself, I don't think people only play single player titles, so I do want to add in some online titles there as well. And then lastly, I am testing on a GTX 1650 laptop, so relative terms, GTX laptops tend to perform the same. However, RTX does interface with the drivers differently. Obviously it's a different technology, so your results may vary on an RTX card. But let's get to the results. So let's start off with the regular driver, 536.40. This was my go-to single player offline driver on a GTX laptop. It had fantastic 1% lows and great stability. So over the 15 games, when I add up all the average FPSs, I get to a total FPS count over 15 games of 1069. And when I divide that by 15, my average FPS per game is 71.27. And then when I add up all the 1% lows over 15 games, my 1% low total is 758, and divided by 15, so my average 1% low per game is 50.53. And when I divide the 1% lows by the average FPS, it gives me a stability percentage for this driver of 70.90. So guys, if you're wondering why my percentage is low, obviously I've added in a whole bunch of new games, heavier games. So I am comparing apples to apples, so whether or not the percentage looks different, I'm using the same settings in every game when I compare the drivers, so it's irrelevant what the percentage difference is. Just know that this, for single player games, 536.40 is fantastic. So then when I do the same benchmarks on the modified Xtreme G modified Nvidia driver via that Reddit page, over the 15 games, I add up the average FPS, and my total FPS per game is 1073. When I divide that by 15, my average FPS per game is 71.53. So you can see it's not major, but there is a slight little uplift in average FPS. And then when I do the same thing for the 1% lows, I add up all the 1% lows, and then my total FPS over 15 games is 759. So you can see there's actually a 1 FPS increase over the standard 536.40. And this is actually why I redid this video, because in the previous video I had this number set to 749, so it actually looked like this Xtreme G version of 536.40 performed a lot worse. So I just had to rectify that. But when I divide the 1% lows by the average FPS, my stability, because the average FPS is slightly higher and the 1% lows is relatively the same, the stability for this driver is actually a little bit less, but the average 1% lows are higher. But the results are also a little bit skewed, so I wouldn't outright recommend the Xtreme G driver. If you look at my results, and I recommend that you actually just pause the video and just look at the individual results, you'll see in most games, barring one or two, Remnant 2 actually had a 1% low increase over the regular 536.40, so that did skew the results. Red Dead Redemption 2 had one average 1% low higher, Returnal had 1% low higher. But if you look at the other results, other than Resident Evil 4, this driver actually has low 1% lows in on average than 536.40. So if it wasn't for the outlier Remnant 2, this driver would actually perform a little bit worse. So whereas it looks pretty good over here, if you actually go into the results, you see that the 1% lows are actually a little bit lower on 536.40 Xtreme G. So do I recommend it? You have to jump through a couple of hoops to get the driver installed, and if you don't play Remnant 2, you're actually going to see on average 1% lows are going to be lower on the Xtreme G driver. So guys, I don't want to be contrarian, but I wouldn't actually recommend Xtreme G drivers. It makes almost no difference. It's a bit of a hassle to install, and yeah, you're good to go with just a regular Nvidia driver. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. And guys, as always, if you're still watching, you haven't subscribed as of yet, now's the time to do so. Thank you so much for watching. It's people like you. Have a good day. Cheers.